Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and I'm gonna do a quick little stitch along video with my diamond painting. So I'm gonna explain a little bit at the beginning, and then I'll just do it, and you can watch me, and I will maybe talk a little bit along the way, but not a whole lot. So first of all, the diamond painting I have is a kit, and I received this paper that went along with it. It has the picture and like a list of the tools and some Chinese instructions for how to do it. It also has your key with the symbols and the color name of the resins. So what I have done is I have organized mine in a little like recipe file box and putting the numbers on the tabs, and within the tab I have two colors in each tab with the baggies written with the symbol and the number on the baggie, and variety of baggies, just whatever I had on hand. The more resins I had in a certain color, the bigger the baggie. So this is the color I'm currently working on. They all match up with DMC numbers, so if they look familiar, that's why. This is 647, and the symbol is P. So everywhere I see the symbol P on my sticky paper is where I'll put the resins of that color. This is one of the little trays that came with my kit. It also came with these triangle trays, but I prefer these because then I can shake it onto these ridges and get most of them face up, which makes them easier to pick up with my tweezers. Oops. So what I do is I'll dump out a few on the tray. If I know there's only going to be a couple of each of a certain color, I'll just dump out a few, but I think there's going to be a good amount of these, so I dumped out a lot. I'll shake it gently so that a good amount of them will line up on these little ridges, and then they're a little bit easier to pick up. The sticky thing comes with a cover just to keep the sticky from being exposed. I'm leaving the cover whole because when I put it in storage for a month or two at a time, I don't want the finished product to get dusty either, and so I'm leaving this whole and I'm keeping it covered even when it's in storage, even though it's even the finished part. Some people like to cut this cover and do everything that's in the exposed area before they move on or put it away for a little while. Because I chose to keep the cover intact, I'm doing it diagonally just because it seemed to work well for moving it. It could also work if you pull it back on the horizontal, the shorter dimension of your piece. But at the time I was really into diagonal work with my cross stitching too, and seeing the picture develop diagonally, so that's what I chose to do. So I decided to do 10 resins wide on my diagonal, so it's kind of hard for you to see when it's at this angle. See if I can show you here. But this is where I stopped last time, so then I'll just count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's the edge of my area. Since there's no like 10 square blocks on here, it is a little bit tricky to remember where the 10 is. But every once in a while I'll just count over from the previous time or line it up with these ones that I know are already at the edge of the 10, and that's just how I'll do it. If it's probably a lot easier just to do it in squares or rectangles, but this seemed fun at the time, so this is what I decided to do. My kit only came with tweezers. I know there are some kits that have come with little pens where you put like a wax in the tip, and that's how you pick up the resins. It's probably a lot easier on your fingers, and I think you could probably order them separately, but since they're coming from overseas and it's a super cheap product, it just seemed not worth it, I guess, to spend the money and get it shipped all the way over just for some little tiny lightweight pen. So I just do this in short spurts at a time. If I'm working on this for a couple hours, then my fingers will start to hurt using this, you know, hard metal. The edges of this are kind of rough. Not rough, but I don't know. You get it. When it's like, it'll just start hurting. Anyways, so I only work on this in shorter chunks, but it's fine for me, and it works. So I just use the tweezers to pick up one of the little resins right in the middle, and then I'll find the next spot where I've already started with this color. This color has some up here, and I did that last night, but the rest of them I think are down here. And what I like to do is color complete along the whole diagonal before moving on to the next diagonal. So when I set it down on the little square, it matches the square, and then I'll sometimes press it down a little bit with my tweezers just to make sure it sticks. And they stick really good. I'm not too worried about them coming up. So it's just kind of a fun little alternative to cross stitch. It's a fun craft that's similar in genre to cross stitch in that it's like color by number with little plastic instead of with thread. And here I'll show you with this one. I'll try picking this one up, and it does come off, but it's not. It doesn't just slip off. It's stuck there pretty good. And so, but if you get it wrong, like if you get it in the wrong spot, you can take it off and fix it, and it doesn't mess up the adhesive either. The adhesive's still there. So I'll just work on this for a little while and let you watch me, and if I think of anything else to say, I will say it. Hopefully I'm not bonking the camera too much. I'm on a card table, so it's not super sturdy for the camera. When I first started this project, I was worried that I would have to work like down a whole row exactly filling in, you know, one block at a time, or else they wouldn't fit right. But I have since discovered that they fit really well within their little squares, and I can go ahead and color complete and leave empty holes, you know, in this area, and I can come back with a new color and just pop it right in and it'll fit. And I don't need to worry about it not fitting or being too... See, here's a hole. I don't know if you can see it well from this angle, but here's a hole that's completely surrounded by other resins, and I just pop it in there and it fits, and it's fine. The resins I'm using are square shaped. Some of the kits you'll find are circle shaped resins with a little bit more background painted on, or background included on the canvas, but I thought this was more close to counted cross stitch with the X's filling up the whole square, so I liked this idea better. So I specifically looked for a square resin kit. And I think that's all the P's in that symbol in this 10 square diagonal. So I'll just dump these back into my bag and put it back in my, file it away in my recipe box and pick a new color. So how I'm picking my colors is, where's the camera, is the next color in my 10 square is the one I'm picking, and then I'll do it all the way down the diagonal, and then I'll pick the next color in that diagonal and do it all the way down. That's how I'm choosing to do it. You can do it however you want. But then that way it's like fully completed, starting from the top down. There's little bits throughout, and then it's slowly, you have a fully completed area at the top that just slowly fills in all the way down. So the next color is 762. And so that's my next one. I don't know if I have a ton of these. See, here's another one. I'm not super worried about these squares being 100% straight. They're close enough. They're already sparkly and crazy, so I think it's fine. If you look at it from a distance, you're not going to get up close and be like, oh, this one's crooked. And when they're all in here, they're going to be straight. They just might be slight gaps here and there, and I'm okay with that. I don't think it could ever be 100% perfect. But it's very, very close because they are squares, so they're going to nest together pretty tightly. So there's that one. Not too many of that color in this diagonal. Next is a nice green one. I don't think I've ever used this color. Well, oh yeah, it looks like I have last time. I'm getting to the end of this tree, so I'm coming into a lot of new colors, which is fun. Oh, here it is. It's hiding. So these are the bags that came with the kit. They're itty bitty little, very cheap bags, so they kind of rip if you're not careful. So some of the colors, there was not enough of these bags for every color. So I went ahead and put the smaller quantities in these bags, and then if they had a large quantity, I put them in snack size bags. And I also had, my husband had a few medicine bags for like prepping, and that's like a medium size. So I have 3 different size bags that I was using for these. And so whatever you have will work, but the kit did come with several of these small tiny bags, which I am using for the smaller colors, the colors that have fewer beads. They came in these little plastic containers that once you rip them open, they are not resealable, and they kind of just keep ripping. Like the plastic doesn't yeah, I don't know how to explain that anymore. They're not good for keeping in those bags once you've opened them. So with the original bags, so you have to transfer them into something else. I've seen people online who have like bead storage solutions that they use for them too, and that sort of thing could work also. This was cheaper, and I already had it. I had this recipe file holder for a project I did in college, so I just repurposed it for this, and it works just fine. Every once in a while I'll get a piece that's, I don't know if you can see that, it's got a mark on it, it's like a little red dot. I'll get a piece that's wonky like that, or it's got a little hole in it, I avoid those as much as possible. In worst case scenario, if they're really messed up, I'll just throw them out. But if they're only a little bit messed up, I might save them, and then at the very end, if I'm running out of that color, I might put some of those at the very bottom. But I'm assuming they give you a few extras, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's see, let's make sure these are inside, and they are not. So, I don't know if you can see. These 4s right here are just outside of my 10 square line. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's number 11. So I'm going to wait and do those till next time. But that's one way where it's kind of far away from up here, so I just need to double check and count if I want to keep my diagonal true. If you don't care about that, that's fine. But it's not that hard to get the colors out, so I just wait, do it next time. And there's more of that color over there, so that I'll do next time. Those are also on the 11. Any 4s anywhere else? Nope. So these ones are a little harder to get back in the bag because the bags are so small. But you can do it. Just tap it a little bit to get them to go all the way down to the end where there's no ridges. The end doesn't have any ridges. And then you can knock them carefully in there. And yeah, I lost a couple, but that's okay. There you go. And that's 907. So what's next? Question mark 728. Here's that one. And also, I'm not worried if they're not all lined up properly. As long as there's most of them lined up, I'll just use them. And then if I run out of ones that are lined up and I still need more, I'll just shuffle them again later. So again, not a big deal. If it's not 100% perfect the first time. Okay, these are kind of scattered here and there. Sometimes I'll push them sideways, you know, to get them snugly inside their square to make sure they're not going to mess up the next one. Not too many of those, I guess. That's all of those that I see. Okay. Maybe one more color, and I think you get the idea. Here's my next color. Sometimes I'll get some that are I don't know if it's going to focus on that. They're like two that are stuck together. And sometimes you can, yeah, that one's separated. Sometimes you can separate them. Other times they're just stuck and you gotta throw them out, but that one was fine. And I just popped them apart. Okay, so I'll do this last color and then I'll say goodbye. This one seems too dark. And if I'm in here and I some reason forget which symbol I'm using, I can just refer to the bag that I've left out that has a symbol on it. So that helps too, to kind of, some of the symbols are a little similar, like B and 8, just to remember which one am I looking for. So that's nice too, to have the symbol on your bag, to have a way to double check that. If you hear singing in the background, that's my daughter watching Sophia the First. So, oops, here's an extra one that fell out. Okay, I think that's all of that color. So, I hope that was interesting or helpful for you to learn what this craft is all about. If you have any questions, let me know. I am not an expert on this. This is my first diamond painting project, and I don't have one of those pens, so I don't know really anything about those. But this is how you can do it if you get a kit that just has tweezers, or if you prefer tweezers. And this is how I do it. So I hope that was enjoyable for you, and happy stitching, happy diamond painting.